get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. Movie screens, then life's the biggest production, and it's a bitch with a big appetite for seduction. All of a sudden, niggas fussing for a big introduction.
One. Hey y'all, this is Daniel. Welcome to Blunt Talk, baby. How we doing? This is the 16th episode, if I'm not mistaken. And I realized in the last recording that I did, I flipped it. So when it was actually episode 14, it should have been 15. And when it was episode 15, I said 14, if I'm not mistaken. So I apologize for the confusion to all the listeners out there. But when all these episodes go up, I will adjust and fix the episode order. But it's NFL draft day, baby. And you know what it means, baby. We got to have an NFL scout right here, right now. My homie, Tanner Cayton. How we doing, Tanner?
I wouldn't go all that crazy, man, but I like to watch. I'm doing good, buddy. Doing good. Thanks for finally having me. Took me a bit.
Man, it's been a long time awaited because you were on the season 2 premiere of Blunt Talk, and then I wanted to bring you back to have you on the solo episode. So
the Halloween.
You're a Carolina Panthers fan, my guy. I see you got the hoodie. Let's start off with the draft first off. With the draft, what are your expectations for the Panthers draft like coming up today in like a little less than an hour recording date?
So I like to watch my mock drafts, and I like to see what people think is going to happen. And really, at first, before we made our quarterback move, and I'm sorry if my dog's making noise in the background. Before we made our quarterback move, I was hoping, or I was thinking for sure, at number 8 we'd find some kind of quarterback. For a long time, right? I was thinking Trey Lance, the North Dakota State kind of raw prospect type of guy, sit behind Teddy for a year and then be ready to go.
I've heard his name around a couple mock drafts, so he seems like he could probably be in the range. Yeah,
but then with all this new stuff, I mean, I'm thinking, well, we've got needs at a couple of needs, but I'm hoping, I'll be happy with most of the things we could do. Quarterback, offensive tackle, or I think cornerback is what we need.
Those are the positions you think you guys need the most?
Yeah, top 3. And I got, top 3 I think would be it, for sure.
So my question is, because from the couple quarterbacks that I remember the name in the top of the mock draft, there's like the Trevor Lawrences, the Justin Fields. Those are 2 names that I can think of right off the bat. Yeah. Is there any chance these guys slip that down to 8th in your mind or not?
Well, Trevor Lawrence is gone. He's for sure.
I feel like he would be the one that's like number 1, right?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is 1 for sure. Zach Wilson's number 2 for sure out of BYU. And then it gets a little iffy, right? So the 49ers.
I forgot about the BYU kid.
Yeah, he's probably he's going to New York to the Jets. Not you guys. You'd be lucky to get him. But so it'd be Lance or Fields, and I'd be happy with either. But I'm thinking, with the 49ers are going to take one of those guys. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Okay.
So the one question I always ask every person who's a diehard fan of one specific team is, how did this all start for you, buddy? Like what is the origin story of you being a Carolina Panthers fan?
Well, I grew up in a Cowboys family, and I know you don't like to hear that, but yeah. So my dad would always try to get me to watch NFL, and I was an NBA guy for a long time, and I still watch the NBA, but I started getting into football in college and started trying to pick a team. And I was thinking about Washington. I was like, Dallas with my dad. And then I was like, you know what? All my other favorite teams are in North Carolina, right? And I'm a Tar Heel fan for sure.
Okay.
Since I was a baby. I like the Hornets too, especially this year. They're fun.
They're a very underrated, underappreciated team this year.
So I was like, it's the closest team drive-wise from where I'm from. Not now, but from
that's a good point, because Carolina isn't as far as people make it seem.
Well, where I'm from, it was only 3 hours. It was 5 hours to DC, further to Maryland for Washington. So I was like, it makes sense. So I've been watching them since college and got really into it. Probably about 5 or 6 years ago now at this point.
So when you were in college, would that classify as the Cam Newton Carolina Panthers era?
Actually, it might have been high school. Yeah, it was Greg Olsen, Cam Newton.
Okay.
Yeah, I was watching 2015 during the Super Bowl big time. So that tells you how it was. So the Super Bowl loss. So yeah.
Okay. So this season, the Carolina Panthers, if I'm not mistaken, you guys didn't make it to any of the wild card spots nor the playoffs this year. This was an off year for you guys after the couple recent changes that have happened to your roster, right? Because was this the first year or the second year without Cam Newton, for example?
This was I think this was the first year without him. He was hurt last year, so really it was the second year, technically. But because he was out most of the season. But yeah, this is our first year with new look, right? We shipped off Olsen, Kuechly retired, our good linebacker, Hall of Fame linebacker in my opinion. And then so it was a rebuild year in my opinion. So that's what I
5 wins and 11 losses.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, yeah, it's rebuild. I mean, if it tells you anything, I think we drafted 7 defensive players. That was our entire draft. So it's a rebuild.
Damn. Okay, yeah. No, that makes so do you like, as a Carolina Panthers fan that you are, do you like what the direction with the team's been taken for this rebuild? Are you against it, or like what are your thoughts with it? Because a rebuild's very hard. You're talking to me, who's a Knicks fan. We're finally relevant for once in like the first time in like 7 years. So having to go through the tough times is very difficult. So how do you feel about it?
Got a new coach, new offensive coordinator. We brought a new defensive coordinator, and we have a new owner as of the last couple of years. So it's completely brand new. But I like what we're doing. I'm excited. He told us from the beginning, we're going to build for the future, and it looks like that's what he's doing. So, I mean, he's making moves. Our new we actually have a new GM this year too. We have new everything, and he's making moves.
Like y'all basically reset it and started it from scratch.
Yep. I mean,
that's crazy. That's very tough to do too.
And he's making moves. I mean, he's not scared. We had a lot of good signings this offseason. I mean, when he went and got Darnold, I was like, all right, this guy means business.
Yeah.
Sure.
That Sam Darnold trade is something that I did want to talk to you about. So, because I've had a couple of Jets fans in the episode, not in the episode, in the podcast. And although they were like very more sad episodes because they were talking about the Jets, they were all saying that they wanted Darnold they didn't think Darnold was going to be the fit under all the coaches that they had. So do you expect Darnold to be a fit for you guys? Because the way you were talking about the draft and quarterback being one of those positions, it makes me think that you don't have that much faith in Sam Darnold.
So I absolutely do, and I'll tell you why. Because first of all, if you know anything about the Jets and Adam Gase, their coach for the past 3 or 4 years, he was in there. And everybody that comes out from under him is good. And he makes people look bad, right? I mean, I don't know how deep. Ryan Tannehill was a good example.
Ryan Tannehill, yep.
He was a quarterback under Gase in Miami, and he was terrible. Everybody's like, he's a bust. He's terrible. Goes to Tennessee, right? I mean, they're doing awesome, right? Same thing as our new receiver we got last year, got named Robbie Anderson. He was on the Jets for his entire career, and he had a career year last year, first year with the Panthers. So I think we give him a chance, right? And something I want to point out to you,
of course, is
that he's younger than –
Isn't he like 22, 23?
23. He's younger than Joe Burrow, if that means something. I mean, he's a
that does mean actually something, because everyone's talking about Joe Burrow like he's the next GOAT or something. But, like, okay.
Yeah, he's a young guy. He's younger than rookies from last year, some of them. So, I mean, got to give him a chance. And we didn't give anything up for him. 3 draft picks, none of them first round. So, I have no problem with it.
I want to get your perspective of like a more NFL fan for you, like, because since there's so many rounds in the draft, when your team trades away picks, like, would you say you care for those picks that much, or like, is it more like an actual asset that you're willing to part away with? Because at the end of the day, there's so many times you get selections, you can still get the one franchise player, you can get that one missing piece off any of the other picks. Like, what's your opinion on that?
That's a good question. So really, it just depends on I think personally, it depends on how much you pay for it, right? So if we would have given up our first this year for Darnold, I would have been unhappy. If we gave up that 8th pick,
that's a first.
I was going to be upset. If we gave up the 8th pick for him, that's too much, right? But giving up a 2nd round this year, a 4th and a 6th next year, or something like that, it's 3 picks, 2nd, 4th, and 6th in the next 2 years. That doesn't bother me really, because if what we got him for, the Jets spent the 3rd pick on him. So if that tells you his value, what it was when they got him, and what we got him for, I'd say
that's a good trade-off. No, I can't front. Like, whoever the GM for you guys did, that's a good flippage in my mind. Because as long as those picks aren't from this year's draft, because you said that there's like at least one from this year, but there's a couple from like the next year or later in the future. So if you're not worried about, like, if you don't have to face the consequences at the current moment and you end up winning, like progressing, because if Sam Darnold can be that one guy for you guys in comparison to a 5-11 record with Christian McCaffrey, I can't name off the top of my head any other pieces that you would consider being like the elite pieces on your team. That'd be good duo. The Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold. That's some good pieces.
We got two good receivers too. We got Robbie Anderson, the guy I was mentioning, DJ Moore, who's a third-year guy out of Maryland. He's a really he's good. So we got him more weapons than he's ever had in New York. So that's something to think about too.
That is one thing.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
Okay,
might get me a Darnold jersey. For real. I'm actually trying
man, you never know. If he gets a W that first game of the season, throws a couple touchdowns, hey man, might have to be.
Yeah, I might grab one for real. I'm glad I didn't get a Bridgewater jersey. I almost got one of those, but anyways.
Didn't Teddy Bridgewater just get traded, or am I bugging?
They just sent him to Denver yesterday.
That's why I just read that. I honestly like that trade because I feel like Teddy Bridgewater still got some potential and something to do in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. He's sorry, I didn't do that. He's he's a star. He's going to start for them probably. He's better than Drew Lock, but the only thing that kind of sucks is we still have to pay him next year. We owe him $7 million next year, but they're going to take the other 3. So and then they have his whole next year.
Okay.
We had him for 2 more years. We had him this year and then and this coming year and the next one. So I'm happy with dealing him, and that's what makes me think we may draft a young quarterback. It's kind of
you got just traded away
as insurance for Darnold. If he doesn't work out, we've got somebody sitting behind him that we're not.
That's a good point.
If Fields falls, I'm confident we'll take him. Mark my words. If Fields falls to 8,
that'd be great for y'all.
Oh yeah,
that'd be a great player to have. Justin Fields. I haven't seen that much footage, but I've seen some highlights. I've seen some plays, and he might be a quarterback for the future. You never know. Him or Trevor Lawrence are the 2 quarterbacks that in this whole draft that I'm the most keen on being able to succeed in their careers.
Trevor Lawrence is going to a good situation. Urban Meyer, new coach. He's so lucky the Jets messed that up. The Jacksonville's in so much better spot than the Jets, man.
I'm about to say, because every time I was talking with the Jets fans, they were like, I doubt we're going to be able to get Trevor Lawrence, but that's obviously the guy we want. So now it's the Jaguars that got that first pick, right?
Yeah, they got it.
Damn. Because it's an NFL, there's no lottery draft. I always found that curious because it actually shows you, hey man, if you suck, you're bad. Hey man, you actually don't have to risk it. You actually just get the draft.
Yeah, so I kind of wish there was a lottery though, because I don't know. So the tanking is a problem. So I think like the whole thing. No,
you're right. I've been saying this for years, homie. Tanking in all sports is a problem. In the American structure of sports, if you want to get into that deeply, because when you look at it, in every of the 4 major sports in America, it happens. You have teams that just tank because there's a draft at the end of the day, and that young player could be the franchise-saving player. So it's interesting.
I agree. Tank for Trevor was the thing this year. We were in on it for a bit.
Exactly.
Too many games.
And like sports like football and basketball, I feel like the tanking culture is so, what's the word I want to, extreme in the sense, because you see like the Philadelphia Trust the Process, how that happened a couple years ago, and they were just trying to get every top pick after pick after pick. It worked out for them, but you have to go through some hard years, you know what I mean? So it's weird. It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
If you have to put your GM cap on, Tanner, what's say after the draft, say you guys draft either Justin Fields or the North Dakota State guy or any of the other top 4 quarterbacks that ends up falling to you guys. After that selection and you get the young quarterback you want, what's the next move you want the Panthers to make?
What's the next one I want us to make at this point? After this point, you mean trade-wise, or do you mean like with the roster?
Trade-wise, if you can somehow sign someone still off free agency, or if you can pick someone off, I don't know.
Well, okay. So if we don't draft, or if we draft a quarterback, so you're saying hypothetically, if we draft a quarterback, then we've got to address our left tackle, or left guard, rather.
Yeah.
No, our left tackle, I'm sorry. And then we've got to address our cornerback situation. That's why I'm thinking that could be the way that we go, right? But yeah, it's got to be a cornerback. One of our people in the secondary, his name's Dante Jackson. He's a guy from LSU. He's a free agent in 2022. So we're missing. He's okay, but we'd be missing another piece at that point. So that's why I would hope we would draft one. But if we don't, we've got to try to I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't know, but I'd like to see us beef that secondary up a little bit, and definitely our left.
Yeah.
The left side of our lines, our offensive line's a little iffy. Right side's
Yeah.
great. Left side's a little iffy. So that's what I would do.
So would you think like the organization would rather take like a win now approach out of nowhere after getting like a quarterback that might be like really like what's because the way I'm looking at it, if somehow miraculously like Justin Fields or the one from BIU fall to you guys, that's a great quarterback for y'all if it all turns out perfectly for y'all. But like you guys just are like still rebuilding and doing all these moves. Like I don't know how to word this. Is it like do you think the organization has a clear mindset on the rebuild?
Yes. So when they brought the coaches in, I believe that was clearly just, hey, we suck. Let's rebuild. But it happened super quickly. Our GM, Scott Fitterer, I think is his name. I can't remember his last name. Scott something. The guy from the Seattle. We brought him in. He's going crazy, man. I mean, our signings this offseason were nuts. And we while being a Panthers fan, we never got anybody, right? Now we would hit in the draft and we did well in the draft, but we're not a free agent market, right? We're not KC, Tampa Bay, or any the Rams or any of those places that free agents want to go. Baltimore, the Steelers, right? So being able to bring people in, even if it's on short little 1-year deals. Hassan Reddick's a guy, for example, a guy that we just brought in from a linebacker that we just brought in from on a 1-year deal from the Cardinals. He's an all pro level linebacker, right? Even though it's a 1-year deal, that makes me think them doing things like that they are in a win now mentality, right?
Yeah.
They're making moves. So, I'm excited, dude. I really think we could, and our division's almost up in the air. Just wait for Tom Brady to get on out of there, man.
I'm about to say, because the one thing I would be the most worried here would be the Buccaneers, but then you never know if Tom Brady drops down. You never know. It could happen. Falcons, I've heard they're trying to trade Matty Ice.
Yeah.
And the Saints, didn't Drew Brees just retire, if I'm not mistaken?
Brees is gone. Yeah, the Falcons.
Who's going to replace him at quarterback? I can't think of like who they got.
Taysom Hill is one of them, or Jameis. They have Jameis. I'm thinking if they're smart, they'll pick Jameis Winston. Taysom Hill is that weird.
They picked up Jameis Winston?
They had him last year as a backup, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
okay.
He's been sitting on that bench for a year. Yeah.
I like to see Jameis Winston in a different team, different scenario, try to see what he can prove.
He's good. He just he's just a little immature and he throws a lot of interceptions, but he threw 5,000 yards 2 years ago. I mean, he's impressive, but there's a lot of interceptions too. So
yeah. That's the risk with those guys that like at the end of the day, like it says that they did so many yards and you're like, oh wow, that's really good. But then you look at the interceptions, it's like it's not a good ratio for some of those guys. Like I understand why those guys
I think it was 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions he had, which is not, you don't want to have the same amount of touchdowns as you do.
I'm about to say it's not like it's a lot, but it's still catched up to be the same number. So that tells you something.
Yeah,
that's 50% throwing, if I'm not mistaken, how it works in the NFL. But that's a 50% chance right there.
I was hoping we'd get him, but we didn't. Back when he was they were talking to swap him and Cam, so I would have been kind of okay with that, but it didn't end up happening.
That would have not been. I think Jameis Winston's younger too, right?
Yeah, that was a rumor that was going around. So I don't know.
Well, I'm intrigued to see because like this offseason, there has been a lot of moves, if we're being honest. And I feel like from my perspective as being a more diehard NBA fan than an NFL fan, when the NBA offseason happens, legit, the smallest moves, it could be like a 37-year-old veteran that signed a minimum deal year with the Lakers or something. But like everyone will be talking about it still. So the NFL, would you say had comparison to other off seasons from your perspective, has this been an exciting off season?
In general, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see the big quarterbacks moving around, and you see you see a lot of big names moving, and particularly Matt Stafford was an intriguing one to me, and I know you had said something about that a little earlier. We actually offered for him. We actually offered our 8th round pick.
Oh wow!
And a couple of other things for him, and the Lions turned it down. And I was kind of sad about that. We were in on him, and we were in on all those quarterbacks. Wentz moved, Goff being traded.
Yeah.
That was exciting to me, all those new quarterbacks in these different places. So I think so, man. I mean, it's been an exciting one. And the draft is just capping it all off.
Because from my perspective, I feel like quarterbacks don't get traded that often, or like at least it's not like you can get the one quarterback that gets traded, but it's not like 2 to 3 or like multiple quarterbacks get traded in like a same offseason, right?
The big name quarterbacks generally sign longer deals for one.
Exactly.
And second, a lot of times you spend high to draft them, so you're not willing to get rid of them super easily. That's why they held Matt Stafford in Detroit for whatever 10 years or 11 years in hostage because they didn't want to get rid of him, even though they knew they weren't a good fit. So it was cool to see, right? Fitzpatrick going up to Washington. That's another one. I mean, there's a lot of moves.
Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, he's Washington next year. Yeah.
That's a big move. That's a big
Talking
move.
to Marty about that. That'll be interesting.
Let's look at like the Los Angeles Rams trade, the Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff trade. So if we look at it detail by detail, the Rams acquired from the Detroit Lions. No. The Detroit Lions got Jared Goff, a 2021 third round and first round picks in 2022 and 23 for Matthew Stafford. They gave up 2 first rounders that are future first rounders and a third round pick. Do you say Los Angeles won that trade since they get Stafford now? Or like, do you think Detroit won because they got the picks and Jared Goff?
Remind me what the picks are again, what year they are?
You got a 2021 third round pick and a first round pick in 2022 and 2023.
Okay, so I didn't know they gave up that many picks for him. If it was just Goff for him, easy. And so a third round pick this year could be a hit, but first round next year and the next year after that could be big because I guess it just depends.
I don't know if the Rams will sustain their greatness or current success for that long.
And that is true. If the Rams are bad, that pick belongs to Detroit. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, but it just depends, and we got to see what Matt Stafford does with the good team. You know,
that's a good point.
I think it's up in the air. I mean, definitely who you want manning your team the next 3 years would be Matt Stafford over Goff.
I'm about to say quarterback-wise, I would take Stafford.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Easy.
Okay.
Easy. Yeah,
I was kind of surprised to see all the picks they gave up, though.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that many. For some reason, I thought it was just like it was 2, and I thought one was a first round. So I didn't know they gave up 2 first rounders for him. I can't believe they took that deal instead of what we offered. I can't remember what we offered, but man, I think we ended up.
I just remember another crazy deal that I don't think you had mentioned yet. Carson Wentz going to the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I think I might have briefly, but yeah, that's another big one, and we were in on Wentz too, and I'm glad that didn't happen because I don't trust him. I'm
not. Me personally, I've always said when it was the Eagles championship run, they should have kept Nick Foles and let Carson Wentz leave. That's what I was thinking, just off the way Nick Foles was the one that jumped in for him and finished it off what they started in a sense. I don't know.
Well, it's hard because they both kind of suck right now. So it's like
that. Yeah.
I mean, I agree in that time. Like
I was saying that originally, like the season right after. Now it's obviously none of them projected to be like the superstar quarterback that we all. I mean, I feel like it's safe to say the world thought that at least one of those two guys would become like a superstar, like not generational, but like a great quarterback. You know what I mean?
And Wentz is still young; he has a chance, but
yeah.
We've got to see what he can do. And talk about being lucky. I remember when the Eagles drafted Hurts, all of us and me, and then the world was like, what the heck are you doing, right? And
yeah, and now
they got it. I mean, he's pretty good. I think I'm high on Hurts. I think I
was a big fan of him, and he was in Alabama, right?
It might have been Oklahoma. One of those two. I can't remember. Yeah.
He was in college. When he was in college, he was great. I remember in the college football playoff, he was beasting and feasting.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, I'd take him over Wentz for sure, and they got him on a rookie deal right now. They need to
yeah.
They didn't make a lot of moves this offseason, though. That was the thing about the Eagles. You guys did better than they did. You guys got Galladay. That was a nice move, but anyways.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I'm surprised – well, I'm not surprised. I'm intrigued because they ended up giving the Eagles a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-rounder. I don't know what conditional means. I'm assuming that means like depending on the position or something.
Yeah, I think if it's in like the top 5 or something, it wouldn't count or something like that. That's usually how it works. Okay. They'll have a fine print kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. There's a couple of like off-season moves that I see here, but like I really don't know that much information from my perspective from about the guys that signed to teams. Like I don't know, the New York Jets signed Carl Lawson as an edge rusher, for example.
Yeah. I mean, some of those position players like that, I mean, they're not skillful
Because
players.
that's a tough. That's the one thing I never thought about NFL until really like now talking about it with you is like trying to build a team in NFL. There's so many different positions. Like it's so hard. It's not like you can just in basketball you could draft the point guard, and that's one of 5 positions you have to figure out. In football, you need your wide receivers, the quarterback, the running back, the offensive line, the defensive line,
Not to
a
mention
kicker.
you have different positions within the line. So
Yeah.
you got guard, tackle. So it's like
Exactly.
yeah, confusing. But yeah, the big moves are the exciting part. And I'll tell you, that's not just you. Even as a Panthers fan, I forget some of our non-skilled players, like some of our linemen and stuff. I mean, I'm a diehard, so it's like
It's sad to hear because like they still NFL players and they're still out there grinding and doing everything. But sadly, like it's not as the same. It's not the same because the quarterback is like a key piece in comparison to a defensive. I don't know. I don't know.
They do all the hard work, no glory.
Sad. It was really sad, but you have to do it. It's how the sport's played. It's kind of interesting.
And they'll collect their paycheck and be happy, I'm sure.
It's weird because in other sports you got like baseball, you got the pitcher, and then like pitcher gets all the credit. And hockey and soccer, you got goalies, and if you don't have a good goalie, you're screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It absolutely is. Let's see here.
I have this one question. I was thinking, in your opinion, would you say being a quarterback is the hardest position in all sports?
In all sports, probably only, and I'll tell you why. So not in terms of like physical skill. I mean, it does obviously take a lot of physical athletics and athleticism and skill, but also NFL is huge, right? We know the NFL is huge. Not that the others aren't, but the NFL is huge. You're also the first person that comes to mind when you think of any team, right? Doesn't matter who you are. You think of their quarterback, right? Because the offense runs through them. So there's also in the modern NFL, there's not a lot of room for error for quarterbacks. You get a couple of years and they say, all right, he's not it. Let's move along. You don't get a big chance here. So you talk about these 20, 21.
The turnover rate on quarterbacks is crazy. You're right.
Coming in there and being expected to be able to handle all that. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, especially for those young quarterbacks right now. Like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, it's nothing to them, right? They've been doing it so long. But some of those young guys, I think it's a lot of pressure. And
it's a lot, man.
On you. They'll get on you if you lose a couple games because there's so few games too, So that's my opinion on it. I think so.
My one thing is like as an argument, and I'm not trying to like start a fight. I'm just saying like an argument a person could say is that in a sense, like in the whole aspect of the sport, a quarterback has to get the ball, look at the field, and just pass it. But it takes a lot of mental, takes the accuracy, the training, the strength to throw the ball that far away. The ability to run while throwing it, if you get the defenders running at you, there's different scenarios that come into it. But I don't know if me personally, I would say it'd be the toughest position. Because like a position like a pitcher, for example, they legit control if there's like it's like they're neck and neck because a pitcher does like the same responsibility a quarterback does in the sense they throw the ball and that's their one task. But if you and goalies in like soccer and hockey, then that's the only task they do. And there's different rules for goalies in comparison to other players. And say you're I don't know, but like you make a good case for it because at the end of the day, a quarterback is the position that matters the most in that specific sport.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I want to emphasize, I don't think athletically because it's not. There's sports you need to be definitely a better athlete at. So, but I just think with just the amount of attention and the pressure, maybe is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of pressure on them because there's not a lot of room for error. But yeah, that's mainly what I was getting at. But yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, kind of like one of the last questions I got for you then is, what do you think of your boys this season, man? Like after the offseason, the draft and everything. I know it's kind of a little bit too early to tell. You want to see what happens with the draft, it being such a high position, but like even though it's a rebuilding year and everything, what do you think like the season will be shaping up?
I'm going to give you a prediction. So I'm going to say, so they moved it to a 17-game season this year. With all
I
of
heard
our
about
games.
that. Is that actually true?
Yeah, it's true. It's 17 games this year.
Do they still keep the bye weeks?
I think they get 2 now, if I'm not wrong. I have to look that. You might have to check me on that. But I believe there's 2. But I think that's why they did it. But I'm gonna say first year Darnold. I'm gonna say 10-7, and I'm gonna say maybe we'd be able to squeak into the wild card. That would be my reasonable expectation. Could shoot for the moon. Could also say we're gonna win 7 games, but that would be what I'll predict to you now on 29th of April, right on draft day 2021. 10-7, potentially squeaking into the wild card.
10-7,
maybe 11-6. That would be 11-6. I'd be to the moon. So that would be what I think. So
you think you can at least get if it's a good season for y'all, you think you can get double-digit wins? That's interesting. Yeah,
I think so. I think if it all depends on Darnold, and it depends on what we do tonight, in my opinion. Well, maybe if we draft a quarterback, not as much. But yeah, no, I don't know. But realistically, it could be like 8. But I'm going to be optimistic because I like to cheer for my team. So 10. Let's say 10 wins.
Yeah, from my perspective, I was saying you might be. I was gonna say a 500 season at least this year, but like it's kind of weird now because it takes away the 500 possibilities for teams. You either have a winning record or a losing record now with the number 17.
Yeah, the Cowboys can't be 8-8 anymore.
I'm about to say them Cowboys ain't got no salvation anymore, man. They gotta actually decide if they want to win. Oh my god, I have a lot to say about the Cowboys, my guy. Oh my god. That's interesting though, because it was always rumored that there was going to be 17 games though. Like at least I feel like it's always been said, oh, the NFL is going to add more games, more money. What I'm intrigued they actually decided to, because in comparison to the NBA, and I know I always compare to the NBA, but there's so many injuries this year because the NBA decided to do a condensed schedule and everything. I'm intrigued to see what effects it has to the health of NFL players, because NFL players already face a lot of injuries and a lot of risk of injuries and concussions. So I want to see stats or numbers on what that added game does.
Some of them are speaking out against that too. You're right. And I don't know that their contracts are scheduled for that. So I believe they may be losing money, some of them, by them adding that extra game, because I don't believe their contracts are set up for that. So some players are not super keen.
You're telling me that they couldn't restructure the salary or something?
I don't know. I mean, they'd have to restructure every player, except for people that are on a new deal starting next year. They'd have to restructure every player's contract. I don't know if they did that or not.
I never thought about that, because it's the 16 games. You got to split it 16 games worth salary. What that? Yep. Damn. Okay, that's another interesting thing. Damn, I feel bad for some of those people then, because that's more money out of their pocket, and they worked hard to be in that position. But damn. Okay.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, how much money they make.
No, again, it's in like a small, because at the end of the day, you're right. They make so much money. They make so much money that it shouldn't be the end of the world. It's just intriguing that they never fixed it or never assessed it. That's interesting.
And I might be wrong, but I don't know. That's a good question.
No, but that makes sense. No, like even if you were wrong on it, that would make sense. A lot of sense with the way the structure and salary works in NFL. Well. Sure. Well, before you go, homie, I have a NBA-related question for you. I don't know how keen you've been on this regular season, first off, but do you have a pick on a team you think can win the NBA Finals this year?
Who do I think could win?
Is it the LeBron James show when he comes back healthy, more like better than ever, like a Superman or something?
I would pick him, but I don't want to be that guy. So how are the Nuggets looking? Because I'm hearing a lot about Jokic. Are they as good as I'm hearing, or are they not?
They are, but Jamal Murray's out for the season.
I didn't see. So, that is true.
That's the one thing. Like, don't get me wrong. I was rooting for Denver the whole time. That injury happened, and they're still winning games in the season, but that always changes when it's playoff time. So we have to see.
Hey, how about the Wizards? I'm just kidding. they might.
Hey, man, I'm liking the Wizards. They're trying. They're playing hard. They're hustling now. Westbrook and Beal got it all together.
The Nets, I guess. I mean, what are they? I mean, how can you not pick them? I guess, but
Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Hopefully, James Harden comes back for the playoffs. There has been no news on that. He got an injury, and what I keep hearing people say is like, James Harden's not one of those players that just rests games, and I never noticed it until now. The guy actually plays a lot of games in the season, so if he's not resting, he's actually hurts. So we have to see. But yeah, I agree with you, Tanner. It's, in my opinion, it's just this Nets team is like so great when you look at it with the pieces they have and the players. It's, if they lose, I've been saying it, it'll be the greatest and the biggest choke job in sports history.
They shouldn't lose. I mean,
They shouldn't lose.
They have
Because you
Griffin.
tell me Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant, and even an old ass Blake Griffin.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's stupid. Yeah, that's silly. That is silly. I forgot they got Griffin too.
And the other player, they have decent players on their roster. Like their roster's actually like a good roster. So like
DeAndre Jordan too. Not that he's all that, but
DeAndre Jordan barely plays for them now, buddy. But like they do have DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, I haven't watched as much. I just know the big names. I'm getting a little aged out of the NBA. I need to get back on it because I'm losing some of the young guys now because I'm
LaMarcus Aldridge. You remember LaMarcus Aldridge's name though, right?
Retired, right?
He had to retire because of the heart palpitations. I feel bad.
Yeah.
They got this one guy, Joe Harris, went to the University of Virginia. He's like a 26, 27-year-old, and he shoots over 45% from three.
Landry Shamet too, right? He's pretty nice.
Landry Shamet, man.
That guy, I remember him.
You got any last thoughts or anything else you want to add in before we end it, Tanner?
Just be watching, see what Carolina does. Let's see tonight. Let's see what happens, and hopefully we don't trade it away to New England like they're saying. And like I said, I'll be happy with anything we do, but I'm hoping for Justin Fields. So if you see Justin Fields go to Carolina tonight, just know I'll be cracking.
Living your best life, just cracking a beer or something.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm about to say. All right. Well, I'll be rooting for the Panthers to go have a good draft night tonight, my brother. We'll see how it goes. To all the people listening, watching on whether it's SoundCloud or YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Tanner, thank you for being on the podcast, my brother. It means a lot to me, you taking the time out of your day to do this, especially on draft night.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. And any other time you want to get me on, just let me know. We'll make it happen.
For sure, my brother. For sure. Sen, that's it. Peace out, my people.
Later, man.